we're going to do like a bit of a panel interview, which I think will be nice and different. And I prepared a few questions for each of our participants, each of our delegates. I hope you can see them all. Otherwise, just scroll and look for Corné, and Corné will just wave, because Corné is going to be up first. So Corné, I just wanted to first ask you, what challenges were affecting the sit-down restaurant industry before COVID, and how have those been accelerated now?
Yeah. Hi, Grace. Hi, everybody. The first one is definitely thinning margins, the increase of everything except for our menu prices. One of them are contributing factors are the ever-increasing labor costs. Even this year's May increases were tabled. In the past, labor used to be an easy fix for restaurants. Slow service, you'd hire more waiters. A problem in the kitchen, would add another line cook. But I think that is a thing of the past. Another thing is the increase in utilities. We can only imagine what Eskom has in store for us. Then there is gas, oil, petrol, water, all of these on the increase. Then there's an increase in food costs. Our quality products are just becoming more and more expensive. And all of these things filter through all the way to packaging and consumables. Another big thing is the rentals and escalations. These things are putting immense pressure on businesses, especially older establishments are killed by contract escalations. As for deliveries, right now for a lot of us, it's a way of life. That too is on the increase, and the cost of deliveries is definitely sky high. I can't imagine that getting any easier for us. I think us as sit-down restaurants need to be more efficient. Thinking to my labor example of earlier, we can't just throw people at the problem. We need to add more science in the way that we run our restaurants. We need a complete understanding of every process and aspect of the business. Usually, our love for food, an amazing guest experience, and a pizzazz for hosting now must be balanced with calculated controls and very strict processes. And I think after 4 months of no income, it's like pressing reboot and we have to start all over again.
Yeah. So Corné, in your experience over the last 25 years, if you had to choose two things that you believe has benefited, two shifts that you've made and you've driven that has benefited the restaurant industry that's different to how you used to run, if you had to pick two, what two would they be?
Well, the one thing that we've done is a big focus on scheduling and staffing. We've developed a matrix actually that can forecast according to your turnover what staff in every section you need. That is definitely driving our labor cost lower. And another thing that we've done is cost containment. We've done a lot of work on energy usage. Last year, end of last year, we did hired a few companies. One of the gentlemen is present, and we investigated the energy guzzlers, and we actually designed a management system around it. So I would say those two things.
Yeah. So it really seems like there's a huge focus on more analytics, more technology to really support the razzmatazz, because we still are in the business of edible entertainment, I guess. Okay, I want to ask you something else about what should restaurateurs focus on now? If you had to say to them, you can only choose a few areas, you can't do everything at once, but it'll really bring about some benefit, either cost reduction or perhaps an enhanced guest experience, what would you recommend?
Well, I think one of the first things is to restructure their menus. People have been talking about it a lot, and the benefits of a compact menu is clear. There's definitely less stock to invest in, the less complicated recipes, which can lead to you lowering your staff complement, and then the scheduling. This will also help with a quicker turnaround time. I spoke about staffing and scheduling, and I really do think that that is one of the big focus areas. And then to really look at your business. After 4 months of no income, I think everybody's very close to their expenses and bank statements. But one thing that we've been doing is to do a proper budget for at least the rest of the year, working on 30, 40 or 50% of the turnover that you expected to do. And then really to be prepared. Speak to your suppliers, be honest with them, have a dual supply strategy so you ensure stock if you do run into problems. And then the thing that I love to do is to spend time in the restaurants, do a few open closes, look at the energy usage, look at the behavior, look at how much chemicals is being used during cleaning. check out how the waiters are doing their duties. And then you can use those learnings to build a leaner, less wasteful business.
Yeah. Thanks, Corné. Before I leave, I think, Natasha, I mean, you did speak to us a little bit yesterday, but because you are operating and we haven't operated yet in COVID times, what would you advise should be the 3 key things that an owner should do the minute Cyril says, okay, go?
Well, I certainly think that being prepared in the background, and I don't want to repeat what Corné said, but I certainly think that the key things are the reduction of the menu, deciding which key staff members you're going to bring back, because you can't bring back the entire workforce, how you're going to shift those people. And then I would say the norm is to do sort of monthly budgets and projections for 3 months or 6 months. But this now has to change completely, and you've got to be doing weekly budgets and almost giving your managers, if you think you're going to do 500,000 Rand turnover and your food cost is 40%, what's 40% of that? And then divide that by 4 for the month. And that's the budget that they've got to spend. I think just to touch on what Corné said with suppliers, ask your suppliers if you can't get money from the bank, which I think is proving to be really difficult for a lot of people. They're not able to get funding from the banks, is to really speak to your suppliers and say, listen, let's ring fence the old debt. We'll pay you COD. And I think paying COD, especially in the beginning, is gonna be much better than running accounts and then running into more debt. And by doing that, you can actually control your cash out, and you know what your managers are buying. I think everyone's gonna have to spend more time in their restaurants. I mean, I'm doing stuff that I haven't done for the last 15 years. I'm going into the cold rooms and checking things and making sure that everything's running smoothly and that there's no shrinkage. And then the final thing is educating the workforce as much as you can on understanding what a food cost is, and are your managers actually in touch with the numbers? So we've got all of these people in place, from GMs to junior managers, and if they don't understand what food cost is, and if they don't understand the impact of their actions, and if they don't understand expenses, then you can't really expect them to take responsibility. So I would say educating the staff during this time is critical. And then maybe having like a 1-page slide where you're explaining to waiters and line cooks that every single action that they take affects the bottom line, which ultimately is also going to affect them. Then I would say, and then of course, hugging and loving, and well, you can't hug, but most certainly letting customers see that you've taken this seriously and you want to win their loyalty back. So a big presence on the floor. When you've got multiple restaurants, get in your car, drive around, spend a couple of hours at each. And then, of course, and I'm sure Tanner will touch on it, is staff morale. Everyone's going to come back wounded. I know we're taking the brunt of it, but trying to put some type of motivation together for the staff, whether it's your weekly meetings or your daily meetings before the shift. Maybe you cook a meal, you get some cheap ingredients and you're cooking a meal for the guys. That type of thing. Because right now, you're going to need everyone. The house is broken. And you've just got these foundations. You've got to rebuild your house. Can't rebuild it alone. You're going to need everyone to really try and help you build the walls and put on the roof again. So that's it. I think that would be it, Grace.
Thanks, Natasha. And Monday, as I reminded you yesterday, we're going to talk a lot about people. We've been doing a hell of a lot of research about not only the practical side of the people stuff, but a lot of the stuff that Natasha has been speaking about. So we will cover it all on Monday. So thanks, Corné and Natasha. Tanith, we haven't officially met. Hi, thanks so much for making time. I know that you're running around in Morningside. We'd love you to share. We've heard a lot about tashas in Dubai. We'd love you to share what steps tashas is taking to get ready to reopen.
Hi, Grace. Hi, everyone. So besides the obvious that we've all talking about, the PPEs that we're putting in place, a conversation and many a conversation that we've had as a team is consumer confidence and trying to win back the customer. It's all about making sure that the customer feels comfortable in your restaurant. So it's all about the visuals. A customer who walks past the restaurant, we want them to feel as though, wow, they've thought of everything and I feel safe sitting in that environment and being served by their staff. So if we had to break that all down, Corné's addressed the simplified menu and the menu reduction. But making sure that the customers we have their buy-in from the customer is really important. So we'll be providing small little postcards for when customers sit down. We don't want them to feel cheated at all. We want them to feel that there's the correct message involved, why less is more, why we've got the whole simplified look of things. We're going to have the option of disposable menus as well as the online platform that we have. So customers can they can get their once-off menu, throw it away once they've used it, or if they don't want to touch anything, they can actually go onto our website and find our menus online. There'll be posters. We have a poster now at Morningside, but there's a huge A1 poster that's at the front door. It has little logos and it's all visual, so customers can actually see the different things that we've implemented, and it's a big welcome sign, letting customers know that we're welcoming them back, and these are the certain things that we've implemented. Of course, at tashas, we're a very visual restaurant in terms of our fresh produce and our fresh flowers on display. So if your restaurant involves fresh things on display, it's very important that you get those small things and those details correct every single day, because if a customer sees old produce on the display, they're not going to be at all confident in the back of house and what's happening with the health and safety procedures behind the closed doors. Of course, everything in your restaurant literally has to sing the same tune. Everything has to sing safety, health, hygiene. So all of our franchisees also know that before we open the doors, there'll be 3 to 4 days of prepping, not only prepping food, there'll be the sanitizing and steaming and cleaning of the restaurants, training all the staff on all the new procedures. It's really important that they feel confident in it. We'll also be implementing, I think a lot of restaurants have heard the safety officer. We're also going to be implementing that. We're calling them our COVID champions, so they feel a little confidence in what they're doing. They feel like they're really making a change. And then we'll be implementing the new layout. So at tashas, we decided that removing tables is going to make the restaurant look empty and very unwelcoming. So we've created these beautiful reservation cards where customers can sit at a table, but a table next to them is reserved, and the spatial and social distancing is still being practiced, but not in an empty restaurant. And I think that's really important if you've got a small restaurant, not to remove tables or pack them at the back so that it looks unwelcoming, but that you can just make it social distancing in a different way. And then, of course, making sure that all the COVID procedures that you're implementing are actually visual. So making sure your sanitizer bottles are beautiful so that customers feel that you've taken a look at every single aspect. I mean, if you're coming to a table with a dirty sanitizer bottle, no one's going to feel confident in the rest of the restaurant. Making sure your waiters understand that sanitizing the table in front of a customer is really, really important, and not just when they walk away, because it's all about making that customer feel confident when they're sitting down. Making customers feel welcome, so making sure you've got disposable masks available, so if a customer forgot their mask at home, they can still walk through your front doors, but they feel welcome because you've got something for them to put on their faces if they've forgotten theirs at home. And then, of course, making sure that all your staff have access to the SOP manuals and all the documents that they need to record all the information on. Trying to keep the sit-down experience as contactless as possible. So at tashas, we used to provide our customers with condiments as soon as they sat down, as soon as they placed an order. We can't do that anymore. So the waiters need to interact with the customers, ask them, would you like condiments? And that all gets dispensed from the back of house, where everything's done in a safe way, and there's no touching and handling the product as much as possible. And then lastly, making sure that your staff are aware of the open communication channels, because it's really important that your staff know that if one of their family members became sick at home, they can come to you and feel comfortable enough to come and express and explain that information to you, so that you can follow the correct procedures in terms of closing the restaurant down or putting a new team in. But if they don't feel confident in coming and expressing that type of information with you as their leader, then you can't follow the correct procedures.
Yeah, thanks so much. You know, you gave me such a good idea, Tenneth, about the part that says educate them and ask them, is everyone at home okay? Because you're taking their temperature and they may be fine. And I didn't think of that. Maybe my colleagues did, but thank you so much. That was so valuable. I just wanted to check one more thing with you. What are you putting on the postcards that you're putting on the table? What's the message there?
I think I can pull it up, Janet.
Yeah,
You've
of course.
got it on your screen.
Let me make
I
it.
don't have one.
I can't even find it. Tess.
No, don't worry. Just tell us, what is the message? Is it just a message to say you're safe with us?
No, so it's basically a personal message to say we've taken the time, actually, Tessa, go ahead. You go ahead, Tess.
Tessa will find it.
You just give me a second and I'll pull it up.
Okay, we'll give you. But we can't read that. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'll carry on. Okay.
Grace, can you just unlock so I can share screen when I find it?
Yeah, I
So
did.
the guys, it's just a mini version of the poster. Just letting people know exactly what we're doing in store. So everyone's wearing masks. The back of house is wearing gloves. All the surfaces are being cleaned. We've got alarms, which we didn't discuss with you guys, but an alarm in the kitchen that goes off every 30 minutes to remind staff to wash their hands. Maintaining social distancing, hourly audits by the safety officer, contactless payments, disposable menus, and all of those good things. And then we've just got this message that
There we go. Well done.
Given to customers, and they actually are loving it in Dubai. And maybe your message is different because it's not a one size fits all, obviously. Tessa wrote it, but I said with love from Natasha. I'm joking. It was my message, but she fixed it for me. Tessa, go ahead, read.
I think what we can do, Natasha, are you happy that this is also open source?
I am happy to open source everything. The more restaurants that open, the better for the country. And
that is so amazing. I dig this restaurant collective. So I think what we'll do, we can put it on the WhatsApp thing, Tess, and then we can, when we open the open source files, because we just want stuff confirmed, we'll throw that in the file as well. And then you can just download a zip file and do your thing.
What happens is customers sit down, they get the disposable menu, because what we're finding is, and I think John shared it with the group today, the QR codes are great. Some people who are maybe a little bit older and don't want to work with the QR code want to still hold the menu. But obviously the younger generation loves the QR code. This goes down onto the table, and it's just a little message, and it must be heartfelt. So obviously this wouldn't be generic. It's got to be from you and mention the stuff that you've done and what you're doing to make the customer feel special. But this is, at least it's just a reference for you guys.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Tanith. Some very cool ideas. And remember, the rest of you, if you want to ask or comment, please carry on typing in the chat column. Okay, I have to just stab my dogs. The joys of working at home. I'd love to chat to Jessica now. Jess, I'm going to ask you the question and then go put my dog somewhere. Jessica, you've developed all the guidelines, obviously together with Corné. So Corné will give the direction and Jessica creates all the learning material. We just want to know, the first thing is, where did you get the information from? What guidelines did you use to develop the protocol specifically related to COVID?
Hey everyone. So when we started developing the SOP, we did a lot of research. We looked into what the government had already published. So we did use that information, but we did a lot of research into what other restaurants were doing in other countries. A few of the countries are ahead of us, so it was quite interesting. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yep, no.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I don't know why it muted there. So I'll just start again. I said when we went on the journey of putting the SOP together, we did look into a lot of the stuff that the government had published. It was just the first start for us. But one of the key things was that we researched what other restaurants were doing in other countries. A lot of them had opened before us, so it was nice to see what standards and protocols they had put in place. We also connected with a few other industries in South Africa. Quite a close one with us at the moment is the tourism industry. So they've also given us a lot of guidelines as to how we should go about opening the restaurants and what standards and procedures we should put in place. But a key one for myself and Corné was to actually take our own personal guest experience and crew journey and look at all the different touch points and see, where we could implement stuff to ensure that our guests and employees feel safe. So you'll see in the SOP that will be published in a few days or so, we really, we broke down that whole guest experience to just, look at how does the waiter approach the table? How does the waiter hold the plates? How does the waiter hold the drinks? So yeah, I think a lot of it was a learning for us because we had to go through our own guest experience, but we used all the resources that are out there.
Cool, thanks. There's a lot that managers have to focus on now when we get back. But if you had to pick 3 things that would make sure that the restaurant truly is safe and that the customers feel safe, which 3 things would you recommend that people obsess with?
Educating their staff is key. So making sure that your staff know exactly what the protocols are, what safety measures need to be put in place. I would say the obvious one there is sanitizing and making sure your restaurant is as clean as possible. It's really key. Making sure staff are washing their hands at least every 20 minutes. I know it is quite a bold statement that we are making when we do open the restaurants, and we say that is something that we are putting in our standards and protocols. So customers really need to visually see those things taking place. And I would also say it's a good time to also obsess, you need to get that customer back, and you want to instill that confidence in them. So really obsess again about, what does the meal look like? What are you presenting to them? I think it's really key. Start to obsess on things like, even the portion sizes, because there's also all those cost implications that you need to just be aware of now because, we have been closed for a few months. But from a safety side, it's definitely educating your staff every single day, making sure they know how to do things, how to implement them, and obviously why.
Yeah. And then the last thing, Jess, because your background is education, I think very often we do brief people and we brief them and brief them and brief them. I've been into restaurants and observed, team sessions, but how do we check what information has been retained and how do we encourage that managers do take responsibilities instead of just blah, blah, blah every day and we become nags?
So I think one of the worst things we can do in this time is print a SOP manual and a document and give it to our managers and say, please read this and implement these standards. I think it's not going to get us anywhere. It's very important that you take the time and spend, you do sessions, daily sessions with your managers and with your staff. You need to ensure that they can visually see how things need to be done. Make use of role playing. It's very important. A key thing is also not just to tell staff what to do and how to do it, but they will really retain the information if they learn why it needs to be done. What is the reasoning behind it? If I do this, this, and this, it's going to make the customer feel like this. I think that's a really key important thing when we do train. We often just tell people what to do and how to do it, but we never go into the little detail as to why it is important. So for me, focusing on the why things need to be done is key. I would recommend that you also, you do bite-sized training. Don't hold a massive 2-hour training session and expect your managers and your crew to retain all that information in that 2 hours. Rather, break it down into small bite-sized little sessions. And then what is really important is to check in with your staff. Ask them, what did you learn out of this session? Get them to provide you feedback. Ask them what are the 5 key things that they took away from this session, because then you'd also get a good understanding of what they heard you say, how the training went. Tests are also a good option. I wouldn't recommend putting them in a room and getting them to sit and write a 2-hour test, but it is okay to test your staff on a weekly basis and just keep it short and simple. But really, at this point in time, there's got to be a lot of emphasis placed on training, and we need to, there needs to be constant repetition They've got to hear it every single day. They've got to visually see you do it. So yeah, I would say let's start there.
Cool. Thanks. So those are the questions I thought of. I don't see any others popping up about the training. There is a question about the relief fund and that, which we're going to look into. Checklists. So yeah, thanks. Anna Marie saying she'll make COVID checklists available. Please do send them to me. We've also got all the checklists that we put in the pack for the Department of Tourism. So yeah, I think there's going to be lots of checklists out there. And once again, because of the fragmentation of the industry, I think most checklists that are found on the internet should be fine. But for those of you who don't have, we will share checklists, DIY audit, little things that you can do on a weekly basis or every day. We'll just let you know when that is up because we haven't had feedback yet. And if they don't give us feedback by the time Cyril says open, we'll just put it up anyway.
Grace, if I can just interject, guys, there's a lot of information, and I know I mentioned it yesterday, and it seems like there's a lot of paperwork, and there's all these training manuals and the COVID handbooks, which we're going to share with you guys. But ultimately, when you open the doors, it's a couple of steps that you have to do. After 3 or 4 days, the staff become entrenched in that behavior, and then it sort of becomes second nature. So don't panic. I think like you look at all these things. I mean, when I saw that first COVID handbook, I was like, oh my God, what is this thing? But then as you start operating, you realize actually it's nothing. You know, it's a couple of steps that you have to be vigilant about. And then it becomes second nature, and the guys just start doing it. So don't panic when you see all these checklists and these check sheets and everything else. It's really simple.
Cool. Thanks, Natasha.
Pleasure.
Okay, so there's a question here. When we have an inspection by the health department, or will it be enough, or will we still need to bring in the third-party accreditation agencies? No, I mean, as far as I understand, the work that we've prepared, we've been told is even more than the protocol that is expected. So nothing has to be, this has got nothing to do with CETA. This is just COVID-safe protocol, and the Department of Tourism will review ours and then will say, off you go. But you certainly don't need any CETA accreditation, no.
Just to add to your point, Grace, what we've seen is you need to have a file with all the temperature recordings and all of those things in place. You must have your plan in place. So to keep everything on record, whatever you have, whatever's going, keep it on record. That should be enough.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm interjecting again. Sorry, Grace.
No, carry on.
One other thing that we forgot to mention, guys, is when you reduce your menus, make sure that you're choosing dishes that don't require a lot of prep. Because no one's got a crystal ball and you don't know how busy we're going to be. So, and different areas are going to be less busy than others, and some are going to be, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. So when you're choosing those menu items, make sure you've looked at your menu matrix. You've definitely looked at your sales mix, choose the most popular stuff, but also go for things that need zero prep. So don't go and put a lamb shank on that you know you've got to pre-prep and cook in the oven for hours because you don't know how many people are going to order it. You're going to land up throwing it away, and every cent counts. Like every cent counts now. So, you know, choose stuff on your menu that the guys can do. A la minute, it's quick and easy to do. And obviously not everyone's menus are designed that way. But I think when you give the customer messaging, most people will understand that they're not going to have a diluted experience. They're just going to have a simplified experience for the time being until we build up. And customers will support you in that. But don't go and put menu items on that require prep that you're potentially going to throw those things away.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, so that was a little bit on sort of the SOPs and things to focus on. You know, there is a hell of a lot of detail, and I've been seeing a lot of things online from other restaurant, you know, people who write blogs, and this is everything they're talking about. All the rules like keeping a file and all of that, it hasn't come out officially yet, But as Corné said, you will be required to keep all the temperature checks on file. We don't know if we have to record our customer's temperature or just take the temperature. We also see in shopping centres there's inconsistencies. Some shopping centres you can walk into, but the store takes your temperature. Some just let you walk in and just squirt you like a Woolworths. Spa, some of the spas are taking temperature, so we're not sure yet. But from the time they announce that we can open, I'm sure they'll give us at least a week to get all that tidied up. Cool. Okay, so I'm just reading if there's anything else here. Customer temperature, and you must keep the details. Yeah, maybe we haven't gotten that message yet. It wasn't clear, but we are going to recommend all the files we're going to give you. There's a form to record everyone's temperature, staff, suppliers, customers, delivery people, everybody. Yeah. Okay, so Sean spoke about social distancing in smaller kitchens. It is a tough one. I think what we'll do is I just want to find out what other topics people are really interested in, and then we can dive in, and then maybe only 30 or 40 people want to participate. So there are a lot of restaurants who have tiny, tiny kitchens, and you do have to put the stickers on the floor of the tiny kitchens. I don't know what you're going to do. Once again, probably the reduced menu will help a lot. But I don't know how we're going to keep our kitchen staff like 1.5 meters apart. Natasha, I don't know if you have got anything.
So Dubai started with a lot of these protocols, and then they dropped them because they just realized that they weren't practical. So hopefully by the time we get to opening, the dots in the kitchen are gone, because what are you going to do? The guy can't stand in one position. He's got to move around the kitchen to cook. So you can put the dots in, but in practicality, they are never going to work. I mean, they're not robots. They've got to move around. So I think what happens is, as you open, they slowly start to ease some of the protocols and restrictions that they put in. So let's hope. But no, in Dubai we didn't have to have the dots in our restaurants or in the kitchen. So
yeah,
I'm not sure.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much. Zalmarie, you wanted to say something quickly? I can't hear you.
Okay.
There we go.
Now I can hear you. So we've been opening, we've opened on the 25th, and so we've been open for, this will be our 3rd week. And I must say the first 4 days, having 2 or 3 separate teams of staff coming in and retraining all of them was a little bit of tricky and intimidating, but they really caught on very quickly. And I just want to say, encourage everybody, just get into your shop, open the doors, just start. The first step is to just start. Don't be afraid. There's money coming in. There's cash flow. And if you have a little bit, then we can work with a little bit.
Yeah.
So
and also just a reminder, Zalmarie, you didn't open with sit down. You just opened with takeaway. Hey, unless you're doing it on the scallum, which is not such a bad idea.
Only Mr. Delivery and Uber, and only when we went to level 3 we could do collection as well.
Yeah.
But at least we know now our team is trained. They know what they're doing. We know what we are doing, and we've got all the lists and everything. So it was a little bit scary in the beginning, but change is also good. So I'm glad that we are at this point where we can maybe also give good feedback to the industry.
Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, guys, well, thanks for attending, and thanks for Tanith and Corné and Jessica. I know Tasha wants to say something.
Sorry, quickly, just on Dino's thing, with the limited staff. Guys, as you open, try and multi-train everyone. So griller's not a griller, or a salad lady's not a salad lady, or the toaster's not a toaster. Try and make sure that everyone is trained everywhere, and take the opportunity to train everyone. Because if you have one man down, or you've got the limited staff, everyone can jump in if one section's busy. So, cross-training is really important.
Yeah. And all of this will be covered on Monday, about how to welcome them back, how to tell people that they have to do more, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. That's it for today. Tomorrow we're talking about money. So if anyone's interested at 4:30, I'm going to fix the poll thing. And I'm going to do the registration thing again. I think it's really helpful. And we've had over 130 people. Some people have left and come late, but thanks very much. And thanks to Tanith and Corné and Jess and Natasha for your expertise. And we'll see most of you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Grace.
Bye.